Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello everyone, let us introduce ourselves. We are from group 2 and as a member, my name is Ester Juliana and my friend's name is Monica Ayuni. Here we will explain about theories of second language acquisition and my friends will tell you about that.
Okay. Second language is concerned with how people learn a second language and with how to provide teachers with a psycholinguistic basis for teaching ELL. The first language expression. What do you know about how children learn their first language, and what are the stages of first language expression, and what is a child doing in each of these stages? What we know now from research on children language development. Humans are born with language expression device, a system that allows us to learn language. Children go through different language learning stages. Bubble at 6 months and one word utterance at 1 year and two word utterance at 1 year and 5 months. Word inflections at 3 years and complex contraction around 5 years and mature speech around 10 years. What we know now from research on children language development, there is a critical period during language learning must occur. In other words, there is a correlation between age and eventual success at attainment of language. Language ability does not seem to be correlated with intelligence. How do we learn our native language? Our biological and innate cognitive ability, that which Noam Chomsky called language expression device (LAD), mean that humans are specially wired for language, which is our unique human capability. Native language competence develops from exposure to language. Children pick up the language spoken in their environment. We are able to formulate the rules of a language without being explicitly taught. Look at the following language sample. A speaker says, I ate chicken yesterday. Who is likely to make this utterance? A child learning their L1 native language, a beginning learners of an L2 second language, and L2 speakers for 35 years. And so, the same speaker says, I ate chicken yesterday. The past tense verb now looks like standard English. And 3, hold on. Now, the same speaker says, I got to visit grandma yesterday. Given this lack of consistency, what can you say about the speaker's acquisition of the past tense? Look at the following language sample. 3, hold on. Those who understand the process of language expression recognize that the speaker has learned that most past tense verbs end in ed, white become whited. The speakers also seems to understand that some past tense verbs in English are irregular. Example at 8. And it appears, however, that the speaker hasn't Yet figure out, which verb have irregular past tense forms. Finding in language 1 versus language 2 expression. Language 1 expression development studies, Brown 1973 and De Villers 1973 found clear order and sequences in the expression of grammatical morphemes by first language learners. And language 2 expression development studies, Tulay and Good 1973, Bailey and Maiden and Crescent 1975, and Larsen Freeman 1978, and Pika 1983 also found clear orders and sequences in the expression of grammatical morpheme by second language learners. Finding in language 1 versus language 2 expression, the native language has less of an impact on the order of expression than the nature of the target language, and the nature order cannot be changed through instruction. If you know the grammatical rule, you may not be able to apply it. Early language 2 development is generally characterized by silent period, a period of time when the learner does not say anything and understands little. Formulaic speech. Speech is structured learning. Learner produce formula like utterance. Structural and semantic simplification. Learner produce very simple sentence. This pattern is similar to that of language 1 expression. Difference between language 1 and language 2 expression, external factors. Social situation in which learning took place, input and interaction, and internal factors, age, motivation, style, strategies, language transfer. Okay, I think that's it. And the next from my partner, Esther Juliana, time is yours.
Okay. Language 1 versus language 2 acquisition circumstances. First language, or we can call language 1 or L1, learned at home, learned by infants and toddlers, learned in order to communicate with loved ones, largely an unconscious process, not time pressure to learn, must learn developmental concepts as well as language. And second language, or we can call L2 or language 2, it learned at school, at work, and oftentimes older, all ages, learn to communicate with loved ones, community, co-workers, or to succeed in US job market. Very conscious process, structured, learn it, not acquired, stressful, ongoing, use it or lose it, never becomes your language 1. And it pressure of a time frame, social and academic. Transfer the fundamental concepts to L2 for older learners. Some conclusion we can draw. There are many unanswered questions with regard to the similarities and differences between learning a second language and learning one's first language. The bottom line seems to be that SLA progress in a systematic order that is similar to but not completely identical to the orders observed in first language acquisition. Stages of language acquisition for level. The first level, level 1, pre-production, silent period, just 500 words, receptive vocabulary. And level 2, early production, limited comprehension, 1 or 2 word responses, and 1,000 word receptive vocabulary. And level 3, speech emergence, good comprehension, errors in grammar, simple sentences, and 3,000 word receptive vocabulary. And level 4, intermediate fluency, excellent comprehension, complex and varied sentence structure, and more than 3,000 words. Well, historical perspective, reason history on SLA research. B.F. Skinner's behaviorisms in the 1950s and 1960s, the techniques of language teaching were based on a behavior's view of language. Language under this view is essentially a system of habits, okay? Learning process by producing a response to a stimulus and receiving either positive or negative reinforcement. Behaviorist theory, a psychologist by training, a Harvard researcher, and the chief proponent for the behaviorist model of learning. Skinner believed that, first, language learning is not a unique process. All humans go through the same stages of language acquisition, cooing, babbling, one word, utterance, etc. Second, language learning is habit formation. Language learning is habit formation and is shaped by conditioned behavior. Learning will take place based on the reinforcement received for the response. Third is there is no concern for the existence of any underlying mental processes. And the last, a learner's mind, according to Skinner, is a blank slate. Behaviorism and language learning. Based on this view, language teaching was seen to involve a lot of pattern repetition to instill proper habits in the learner. For L2 learners, there was also the matter of unlearning certain interfering habits from the L1. And problems with behaviorist thinking. Language isn't a collection of habits, Chomsky stated. Language 1 or the first language acquisition shows that children do not merely repeat what they have heard. They use language creatively. And children internalize rules by producing sentences during the different stages of language acquisition. And the second is innate theory. A linguist by training, MIT researcher and chief proponent of the innatist theory of language acquisition, Chomsky believed that language learning is an innate biological ability in all humans. We have a predisposition to language learning thanks to our language acquisition device, or LID. Language is learned through a complex process of rule generation, hypothesis testing, and confirmation. The third, our ability to create infinite sentences from a finite set of rules is given as primary evidence of the LAD. And the last, learners play an active role in their language development, even if the role seems effortless and unconscious. Interaction or sociocultural theory. Born in the post-Czar Marxist Russia, Vygotsky was both a psychologist and linguist by training and believed that the first, human cognitive development, including language development, is a result of social interaction. It is spatially related to the individual's culture and is aimed at creating a shared knowledge of the culture. Second, adult scaffolding of knowledge through speech helps that child internalize both language and cultural knowledge. The third, social interaction during scaffolding helps the learner with full development in their zone of proximal development, or ZPD. Although children use language to learn and think, its main purpose to them is social interaction. And how did these learning theories influence SLA theories and approaches? The first, behavior theories gave birth to approaches such as the audiolingual method, drill and practice. The second, innatist theories gave rise to Krashen's monitor model, five hypotheses. And the third, interaction or sociocultural theory resulted in greater emphasis on the tools of thinking, practice such as cooperative learning, reciprocal teaching, and scaffolding, and consideration of the learner's social and cultural experience. Other findings from SLL research: interaction and instruction have positive effects on second language learning. Awareness of language learning strategies help the learner learn the second language. There are two-level language that must be acquired: basic interpersonal communication skills and cognitive academic language proficiency. Students must receive explicit language instruction. Learner differences account for differences in second language learning.
Okay, guys, I think enough for our explanation. And thanks for your attention. See you and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.